very much into autumn, and what says autumn more than Gilmore Girls? I've been rewatching it recently and it really got me thinking about quite possibly the ultimate book girly that is Rory Gilmore. So I did some research and I found the Rory Gilmore reading list. This is a total of 408 books that Rory Gilmore mentions at some point in the entire series of Gilmore Girls. So this week I'm making it my mission to read like Rory Gilmore for the entire week, choosing books from her 408 that she mentioned on the show. Hello guys, I am so beyond excited about this reading challenge. Just to be reading like Rory Gilmore for an entire week is so exciting to me. And obviously I had to have my Gilmore Girls sweatshirt on. This is from Literature Stitches. I will leave a link to their shop down below. It's one of my favourite bookish merch shops ever. And I obviously had to put this on because the colour of this, so autumn vibes, and also it's Gilmore Girls, which is literally perfect for this vlog. I've had this video idea literally since spring, summer. And I've just been waiting for autumn because I think it's the perfect time to be doing this video. So out of the whole list of books on Rory Gilmore's ultimate reading list, the first one that I'm gonna pick up is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is my first Agatha Christie book. I can't believe I am so into crime, thriller, mysteries, and I have never read an Agatha Christie. That's literally insane to me. So I'm very, very excited for this. And this is such a stunning edition. Not only is the actual book stunning, look at that. And then we also have the 10 Little Soldier Boys like nursery rhyme on the front. Can you see that? But also, this is a really special edition because I basically have to work out who the killer is, and then in the back, in this envelope, I get to reveal it at the end. That's so exciting. So I'm basically going to be a detective while I'm reading this. I just think this is such a fun edition and it feels like an immersive kind of reading experience, which I'm very much here for. So our first book for this Reading Like Rory Gilmore for an entire week is going to be And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Something really cool that I've noticed is that at the start of each chapter they have these little people there, and I realised that they were going up. So the second chapter had 2 people, and basically every time a new character is introduced that is an important character to the story, there's another person added. So my guess would be that when they start, you know, that the people would get less and less, which is kind of creepy. That's kind of creepy. But I really enjoy that detail. I don't know whether that's just this edition of it or whether that's the same in every edition of this book, but I just really enjoyed that little additional detail. Also, I'm only about 40 pages in, but already I can immediately see how so many other thrillers that I have read, like, that have been published recently, I can already see how they've been inspired by Agatha Christie in the way that she's like telling the story. I can already see so many links to other books that I've read, which I think is really, really interesting. I'm 92 pages in already. I don't really know how that's happened. First of all, I've actually started making notes. Look, I'm determined. I am determined to solve this case. And I've basically got my little notebook here. And essentially because there are 10 characters, 10 main characters, and they're all suspects in my eyes, I was kind of struggling at the start to remember who everybody was and like what I'd learned about everybody so far, because the first few chapters we have a chapter each for each character and they were all just kind of getting mumble jumbled in my head. So I started writing them down, and I've started writing down what I've learned about them, what I think is suspicious. It's getting out of hand, it's getting out of hand. And we have pages of it. And then I've started writing down like the deaths and the order of the deaths that happen and who it is and how it happened, etc., and people's reactions to it and everything. I'm determined. But I also think that it's really helping me get into the story more, because right at the start I was kind of struggling to get into it only because I couldn't remember who the characters were. But I found that this has really, really helped. And then if I read another name and I'm like, oh wait, who was that? I can go to my notes and then I'm like, oh, that's the judge, that's the captain, you know? So that's helped me a lot get more into it. But it is so fast paced. It's so fast paced, surprisingly so as well. I think I just really didn't expect it to be so like on to the next, on to the next. And the chapters are so short, which is so addictive to read. Like there is just something so addictive about the way that this is being told. The thing that I really like is that she gives a little bit of description of like the place that they're in or the people, but not too much. Like she gives us a bit, enough to work with, but then the rest is all like action and dialogue and the stuff that's actually happening between these characters. Like we're not getting lost in these long-winded descriptions of the places, of the people, of anything. And I think that's partly why it feels so fast-paced, but she still gives us enough to work with and to be able to like imagine this place that they're in. I'm also really enjoying the fact that it's all based on this old nursery rhyme. There's something so creepy about that, but in the best way. And just the fact that we kind of know how the next death is going to happen because of this nursery rhyme, and they're kind of slowly clocking onto that as well. There's just something so creepy about that because you can't do anything to stop it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm really into it actually. With my little notebook and my pen, I am ready to solve a case. I'm ready. I have been working day and night to solve this case. I have about 30 pages left and I literally stayed up until like 3 AM last night reading, and I really wanted to finish it, but then I was like no, because my head's not fully in it because I was so tired, and I was like I'm so determined to solve this case that I'm gonna wait until the morning. So here we are. I have some filming to do this morning and then I'm gonna sit down and read the rest of this. And tell me why I'm kind of nervous. Tell me why I'm kind of nervous. I think part of it is to do with the fact that I don't really know like the rules of an Agatha Christie. Like I don't know if when they tell me that somebody has been killed, whether that's actually the case or can they come back at some point. Like I don't know. I don't know the rules, you know? But then I guess these characters don't know the rules either. So I'm very much in it with them. I do definitely have my suspicions. I had an inkling quite early on, and that person is still in it and still alive, so it could still be them. I know that Agatha Christie leaves like little clues so that you could work it out, but sometimes I don't know whether I'm just reading into things too much. I will also say that when I started this, I realised that it was actually set in summer, and it essentially follows these 10 people who are invited to this kind of remote island, and they get there and then they all start getting killed off, essentially, and they're all trying to work out who's done what. That's the premise of this. But at the start I realised that it was actually set in summer because they were talking about like how hot the weather was, and I don't know what it was about this book that gave me like autumn vibes, which is partly why I saved it for autumn. I was kind of gutted when I read that, but then the whole island and the fact that there's a big storm going on is literally perfect for this time of year. And it made me really happy because it was so windy outside when I was reading this yesterday, and then there was also a storm going on in the book, and I just feel like it matched up perfectly. So that made me really happy. Yeah, so far so good. I've been making my notes. I'm so determined to get this right. I really, really hope that I can. I want to get it right so bad. So I'm gonna do some filming, read the rest of this, and we'll see if I've worked out who it was. We'll see. Just finished the epilogue and I have no idea who it is. Okay, I'm gonna open the envelope. I'm obviously not gonna say what it says inside the envelope because I don't want to spoil anything. But I have my suspicions on 2 people especially. I don't know, I just want to know. Okay, who do I think it is? Who do I think it is? Okay, I have my final answer. Let's see. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's a little notebook. What's happening? I didn't get it. I didn't get it, and I should have got it. No. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I'm kind of gutted. I think I just got to the point where I was reading the epilogue and I was like, I just want to know. I just want to know. And my notes kind of went out the window, and I should have probably taken my time a bit more. And I don't know, maybe I would have been able to get it. I don't know. I did have the right idea. I did have the right idea, but I think I still would have probably had the wrong person. But it's okay. It's okay. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I had a really good time. I think I really like this edition as well. Like, it just made it so much fun to read, and I really liked getting fully into it with the notes and everything. I'm pleasantly surprised with how fast paced this was. Like, every chapter was so short and so like on to the next, which just made it so quick to read. Like, I finished this in 2 days, and I found that when I put it down as well, I was thinking about these characters and still trying to work out who it was. I think I'm also surprised at how fast paced it was, because at the time that this was written, I imagine that that was quite new and fresh, and like this whole concept was new. And I don't know, I'm just quite surprised by it, but in a really good way. And it's definitely made me want to pick up more Agatha Christie books as well, especially if they're an edition like this where you have like the reveal at the end in a little envelope. I wonder if there's any more editions like that, because that would bring me a lot of joy. I feel like that's definitely what I need in my life. So yeah, I finished this yesterday. I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed. I had a great time, and I would definitely recommend this for a really fast-paced thriller mystery. The next book that I'm gonna be reading for my week of reading like Rory Gilmore is a very anticipated read actually. It's been on my TBR for a while, and I've definitely heard mixed things about it. I've definitely been warned to go into this in a clear kind of good mental health space. We have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I'm scared. I'm scared. I have been warned. I have been warned. I don't really know anything about this other than I know it's set in New York. I know that it is quite close to Sylvia Plath's life, or like partially based on her life. And I know that it follows a girl basically working for a fashion magazine, I believe. That's kind of all I really know about this, but other than that, I'm going in kind of not really knowing that much. I'm just very intrigued by this one. We'll see. We'll see what I think. I'm not even 20 pages in yet, and I can already tell that she's a poet. I can already tell. Her writing is so lyrical, and there's something so captivating about it. Just already the way that she's explained certain feelings and certain emotions, or even certain experiences in the world, is just so unique, and it just really pinpoints the exact feeling that you couldn't even put into words, and somehow she's done it. She's done it. Changed back into my sweatshirt because I was getting cold. It's so cold today. But I'm about 70 pages in, and this is reading actually quicker than I thought it would. I don't know what I was kind of expecting going into it. But I just wanted to point out that this is where the fig tree analogy is from. You know the TikTok trend of the fig trees where everybody was putting all like the life paths that they wanted to go down, all the things that they wanted to be in their life. I knew that that was from something, but I didn't know what it was from. And I've literally just come across it in this. This must be where it's from. And just actually reading it in the context that she's written it is so interesting. And I can see why it's such a big thing. I can honestly see why it's a very well-known thing. I don't know why I had no idea that it came from this book, but here we are. In case you didn't know, you probably did, but in case you didn't, there you go. It's the next day. I got to page 122 yesterday, so I'm a little over halfway of The Bell Jar. I do think that I will probably finish this today, and I think it's probably for the best that I don't spend too long in this book, just because there are harder things that she's talking about and dealing with and experiencing and everything. So I am hoping to finish this today. I just have a couple things to note, to kind of update you on. The first one being that there are definitely racist things in here. Like, there are definitely racist comments made. And I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a shock for me to read. I just thought that was something that I definitely wanted to address and to point out that that is definitely a thing in this book. The other thing in terms of the writing style, it's literally like a stream of consciousness, and it's quite interesting because there's no real plot. Like, it's very, very character driven. It's kind of a hard one to explain because we're basically just following Esther going about her life, and it's very much through her eyes and what she's experiencing with. It literally feels like we're in her head the whole entire time. It's very stream of consciousness kind of vibe. And I can absolutely see why this one might be a hard one to get into because there's no real direction of the plot. It's just very much being in her head the whole time. And what's interesting about that as well is that sometimes it's not a nice place to be, then it isn't for her either, you know? Like, I think that's a really interesting kind of thing about everything that she's dealing with. So far we've had a lot of her in New York working for this fashion magazine, and like the women that she's surrounded by, we've had a lot of her experience in that kind of setting, and I'm really intrigued to see where it's going to go for the second half and like what she's going to do, because she's also had some things happen in her life now where her life path maybe isn't as clear as she would like it to be. I've just finished The Bell Jar, and the second half of this was a lot harder to read. And I think that especially is where the trigger warnings kind of need to come in, because she goes into the things that she's struggling with in detail in this, and it is hard to read. It's tough to get through because there is a lot of it. It also kind of feels more all over the place and more kind of lucid. And I think that that kind of represents her state of mind throughout the novel and throughout her life, and it must be kind of reflective of what she felt and how her kind of mental health deteriorated. Because the second half, sometimes I felt quite lost in where we were in the story, and it felt a bit more all over the place is the only way that I can kind of explain it. Like, 1 minute we were here, 1 minute we were there. I do think some of the things that she's describing and explaining are going to resonate with a lot of people, and she has an ability to describe certain feelings and experiences, especially of being a woman as well, in such a unique and succinct way. Like, it's in a way that when I was reading it I was thinking, well, I've felt that before but I've never been able to like articulate that, and she's just done it in the most poetic, lyrical way. And I think there are a lot of things in here that for a lot of people will be relatable to some extent. It's kind of hard to describe my kind of reading experience with it because it's one that I can't rate. Like, I simply can't give it a rating out of 5. Like, it just, I can't explain it. Like, I'm glad that I read it, but it's not one that I would necessarily recommend to people. It's just a weird one in terms of how I stand with it, I think. I'm definitely glad that I read it, and I do think that it will stay with me. Whether that's in a good way or not, I can't tell yet. And especially a lot of the analogies. I did actually really enjoy the analogies. I know I mentioned the fig tree analogy earlier. Also, the bell jar analogy, I think, is such an interesting analogy for mental health and what it feels like to go through something like she did. Yeah, they're kind of my final thoughts. After I finished reading this, I was actually just on my phone looking up like how accurate it was to Sylvia Plath's actual life, and it's shockingly accurate to a lot of the things that she went through. On my next read that I'm going to go into, I've actually borrowed my mum's Kindle. I've kind of adopted this Kindle, in all honesty. Whenever there's a book that I don't have but it's on Kindle, that's when I usually use this. This is actually my mum's, but I do borrow it, and I do have my own stickers on it. But it's because she just doesn't use it that often, so I've kind of adopted it. And yeah, the book that I'm going to move on to is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is a book that has been on my like classics list that I wanted to read, like the list of classics that I wanted to read at some point for quite a while. And I actually wanted to get to it around Halloween because I've heard that it's kind of like a spookier read, maybe, potentially. But I didn't get around to it at the end of October, and when I saw it on Rory Gilmore's list, I was like, it has to be done. Has to be done. So I'm about to start that now. It is pretty late, so I'm just gonna see how far we can get through. And I also feel like this maybe will give me a bit of a break from the bell jar and like thinking about the bell jar, you know? Guys, I'm gonna have to DNF it. I'm gonna have to DNF it. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm about 35 pages in, which is just a little bit into chapter 3, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Which I'm kind of gutted about because I was so excited to read this one. And like the whole premise of it sounds so intriguing to me, but I don't think I can do it. I just don't really like any of these characters, and not that much is actually happening. Like, I'm waiting for the plot to start and it's just too long-winded, and I'm just bored. I'm bored. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna DNF, and we're gonna reconvene tomorrow morning. I have a couple of days left of this challenge, and the next book that I'm gonna pick up after I DNF'd Picture of Dorian Gray, I feel like I need something fun, a little bit fun, and a book that I saw on the list of Rory Gilmore books that I was really intrigued by was A Christmas Carol. Because I just think that's going to be fun and get me more in the Christmas spirit. I mean, it's a little bit early, but is it ever too early? Really? So I think I'm going to read that. It was 22p on Kindle, so I think that's going to be my next read. And it's kind of funny because I actually studied this in like year 10. So I think it's going to be so weird to now read it for fun and like to actually choose to read it, because I really didn't love the books that I studied, and because it's been a while I like remember certain things about it, like the general gist of it, but I feel like I don't really remember that many details of it, and I don't really remember what the vibe of the book was like. So I'm really interested to read something that technically I've read before or I studied, but that I haven't really read properly. Because all the books that I studied, I actually never read them. I read like parts of them. I honestly don't even know how I passed my English lit, but I just really didn't like reading. I know, shock horror. So I'm gonna start that tonight and I'm really excited for it. I think partly because it's Christmas as well. It's just making me really excited for Christmas. My favourite time of year ever. This edition of it on Kindle not only has like his original manuscript, like the actual writing, you can see where he's like scribbled out things and you can see his writing and how he's like signed off each of the chapters, but it also has illustrations in as well. I love that. I love it. I finished reading A Christmas Carol. It was actually a lot shorter than I remember it being. It was only like 100 pages, which is crazy. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. It's such a different experience from studying it. I don't even remember that much about it. It was kind of like a picture that was out of focus. Like something about it felt so familiar to me reading it, because obviously I have studied it, but I also didn't know the ins and the outs of the story, which is such an interesting experience. I feel like I thoroughly enjoyed it though. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The wintry Christmas atmosphere that was in here was so good, so cozy. Like you just want to read it at night time, all cozy with a cup of tea or a hot chocolate. That's the kind of vibe that it gives. And I also really liked these ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present and Christmas yet to come visiting. I think I'm actually finding out that I really like ghosts in books. I really enjoy that. Every book that I've read that has ghosts in, I've absolutely loved. So maybe that's telling me something. I really like the life messages, the life lessons that Scrooge learns throughout the whole book. I like the kind of turnaround of his character. I just really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And it was the perfect atmospheric Christmas read. And honestly, I'm feeling so Christmassy already. And it's the middle of November, so that actually brings us to the end of my week reading like Rory Gilmore. I really hope that you've enjoyed this reading vlog and coming along with me for the week and reading a lot of classics. I've literally read back-to-back classics this week. Please let me know if you enjoyed watching and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Goodbye!